Welcome back to our online class. Today we are going to discuss our second part of chapter number 2, Federalism, in Political Science book of Social Science subject. In the first part we discussed about the federalism, its definition and types of federalism government. Let me recapitulate the definition of federalism, that a federalism or a federal government is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. If we understand this definition in very simple words, simply we can say that federalism has two or more than two levels of the government. Meanwhile, when a government has two or more than two tiers, it is called federal government. One is the government for the entire country or for the national interests. For example, central government. Other is for state, and if there are more than two levels, the third one is for the local government or Panchayati Raj system. Now, in this part, second part of the chapter, we will discuss what makes India a federal country. So, because we had discussed that India is having a federal government, so Indian government took some steps to make our country federal, as our Constitution of India declared India as a union of states. Originally, Indian Constitution provided three-tier system of the government, as we had already discussed in part 1. One is the union government or the central government. Second is for the state government. Third is the local government. Local government consists of Panchayati Raj system and municipalities. These different tiers has a separate jurisdiction. As we discussed in the features of federalism, that all these tiers or all these levels are having a separate jurisdiction, means their rights and duties are separate. Coming to our next slide, there are some subjects in the federal government. All the subjects, tasks are divided into different lists. The first list is Union list. Union list is for the center. If we define this list, it includes subjects of national importance such as defense of the country, foreign affairs, banking, communication, and currency. The union government alone can make laws related to the subjects mentioned in this list. Our defense, our railway, banking system, tax system, income tax, that comes in the union list. These subjects are important for the nation. Second list is state list. State list contains subjects of state and local importance related to the state government. For example, police. We can say Haryana police, Punjab police, trade of the state, commerce of the state, agriculture of the state. State government alone can make laws related to these subjects. There is no need of center government in this subject. State government, state legislative assembly and other members, they can make the laws. Coming to the third list, it is called concurrent list, subject of common interest to both union and state, because there are some subjects which are concerned with both center as well as state. For example, education. If we see, we have state education boards, we have education ministers in states as well as in center also HRD minister, Human Resource Development Minister, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption, succession. These are concerned with both as well as center as well as state. Both the union as well as state government can make laws on the subjects mentioned in this list in case of any conflict. For example, there is any conflict in education matter, laws made by the union government will prevail. Means center government's laws will come in existence. Now coming to next list, that is residuary list. When our constitution came in force, when it was enforced, there were some subjects which were not the part, which were not existed at that time, like information technology, computer software. So these came up after the enforcement of the constitution. So all these new subjects come in residuary list. So these are the four lists we have discussed. Coming to the first one is the union list, in which center can make all the laws related to these subjects. Second is state list, related to the state government. Third is the concurrent list, concerned with both center and state. Fourth is for the new subjects like information technology or computer software. So these division of the lists, division of the subjects shows that India is a federal government and it has given powers to center, state for the making of laws. Now next is related to the powers in holding together, because India is having a holding together government, holding together federation. As we discussed in our first part of this online video, we had discussed that in federation governments there are two types of federations. First is coming together and the second is holding together. India is having holding together government. In holding together, here is the definition of holding together. Equal powers are not given to constituent units. Constituent units, here it refers to states. That all states are not having equal powers. For example, if we take an example of India, we can see that Haryana, Punjab, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, J&K, means J&K now it is union territory, earlier it was a state, Nagaland, Tripura, all these states are not having equal powers. Special status is given to some of the states. Out of these states, some special status is given to those states which are economically backward, in which there are physical problems, in which people are not getting all the resources. In these states, Indian constitutional laws are also not applicable equally. as we say that constitution is equal to all the states and union territories, but in these states some special rights are given to the states. For example, Indian constitutional laws are also not applicable equally without the approval of state assembly. In these states, permission of the state assembly is required to implement all the laws passed by the Indian Parliament. Coming next to power in the union territories, as we are discussing about the federalism, that how it is practiced in India, along with the states we have some union territories like Chandigarh, Lakshadweep, Delhi, etc. In these union territories, it is not easy to make changes in the power sharing arrangement. Meanwhile, it's not simple to take the authority of any union territory in the hand, or it can't be merged with any of the state easily. Parliament can't its own change this arrangement. Even the parliament, because parliament is the lawmaking authority of the country, but only parliament members also can't change it. Any change to it has to be first passed by both the houses of the parliament, Rajya Sabha, upper house, Lok Sabha, lower house, with at least two-third majority. Two-third majority is required to pass the bill or any law, and it has to be rectified by legislature or state legislative assemblies of at least half of the total states. Means at least half, 14 states of the country has to pass or give approval in the sharing, in the change of the power sharing in union territories. Coming next to how is federalism practiced in India. For the federalism, there are some steps which Indian government has taken after the independence. First is creation of linguistic states. As you all know that most of the states in India are created on the basis of language. People who speak Gujarati, they are in Gujarat, Punjabi in Punjab, Haryanvi in Haryana, etc. After independence, this was done to ensure that people who spoke the same language lived in the same state. Although some national leaders, they feared in the beginning that this might lead to disintegration. There might be division of the country on the basis of language. But it proved successful and it helped in the unity in diversity of the nation. Second step for this federalism in India is the language policy, that which language has to be adopted in India as a national language. As you all know that India is not having any single national language. Our constitution did not give status to any national language to anyone. Means we don't have any one national language, even we don't have any one national religion. India is a secular nation. Earlier, Hindi was identified as official language, but it was the mother tongue of only 40% people of the country living in northern part of India. Hence, besides Hindi, 21 other languages are also recognized as scheduled language by the Indian Constitution. According to the Constitution, the language English for official purpose was to stop in 1965, but central government responded by agreeing to continue the use of English as well as Hindi, because there were some protests for the implementation, against the implementation of Hindi in southern part of India. Although this flexibility shown by the political leaders, it also helped our country to avoid any situation like Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, government adopted only one language, Sinhalas, and they made that language official language. That is why in Sri Lanka they faced civil war. Tamil people are still struggling for their rights. Next, coming to center-state relations, that it was a major issue after independence that in federal government there is a center government and state government, but in case if opposition party is there in state government, center might use power to demean the state government. Hence, it was decided that center's role will be different and subjects related to center will be different. Means state was given separate jurisdiction. In 1990s, coalition government also came in existence, in which more than two parties could join together to make the government. Even Supreme Court also made it difficult for the central government to dismiss state government in arbitrary manner. If any party is in the center, means that party can't interfere in any matter of the state if the state government is having opposition party. Coming next to the decentralization of India. Decentralization means distribution of power, as it is the part or another form of power sharing. So some steps are taken by the government, as originally Indian constitution has two tiers of the government, central government and state government, but later on in 1992 a major step was taken by the political leaders and another government, local government also came in existence. Here are some steps for the decentralization of powers in India which were taken in 1992. First step, that is very important, that it was mandatory to hold regular elections to local government bodies or Panchayati Raj system. Here Panchayati Raj system refers to village panchayat, block smiti, Jila Parishad, and in urban areas, municipalities, municipal council and municipal corporation. Second step taken by the government in 1992, that seats are reserved in election bodies and executive heads of these institutions for scheduled tribe, scheduled caste and other backward class. Third step taken by the government, that is 1/3 seats of all the positions in local government are reserved for women. Fourth, Independent State Election Commission for state. Earlier there was only one election commission for the country, but now Independent Election Commission came in existence. Next step, state governments are required to share some powers and revenue with local government bodies. Meanwhile, state governments will give some powers to these elected representatives of Panchayat, Block Samiti, Jila Parishad and municipalities, and some revenue, financial powers. Finance means that will be decided by the local by the state governments for these local bodies. Here, let's understand about the local government, that what is a local government, the third tier of the government, which we are discussing again and again, that in federal system there are three levels: first center, second state, and the third is local government. So let us understand what is this local government. In local government, first discuss about Panchayati Raj system. Rural local government is popularly known by the name of village panchayat, as most of the people in the country are living in villages. So in village panchayats are there. Village is divided into wards. Population as per the population, as per the geographical area, and it is divided into wards. Each ward has one ward member called Panch. This Panch is elected by the people of the ward. Sarpanch is the head of the village. The head of the village is called Sarpanch. He or she is known by different names in different parts of the country. In some parts, Mukhiya, Pardhan, etc. Village headman or the head of the Sarpanch is directly elected by adult population of the village who are 18 years and above, which is called Universal Adult Franchise System. Panchayat works under the overall supervision of Gram Sabha. These village panchayat members, Sarpanch and Panches, they are under the supervision of Gram Sabha. Gram Sabha refers to the body which consists of all the voters of the village. In Gram Sabha, all the voters who are 18 years and above are the members of Gram Sabha. They are the part of this local government, and this Gram Sabha has to meet at least twice or thrice in a year for the discussion of annual budget and performance of Gram Panchayat. In these meetings, generally, local officers, BDPO and other officers, they also attend this meeting to make it successful. It is considered as a direct check on the village panchayat. Coming to next part of the local government, that is Panchayat Samiti. Because we had discussed that in a village there is a panchayat, whereas few gram panchayats or few villages, when they are grouped together in a block, they are called Panchayat Samiti. Panchayat Samiti is at the block level. Generally, there is a chairman in Panchayat Samiti at block level who is most of the time sitting in blocks of that area. Next is the Jila Parishad. Jila Parishad refers to all Panchayat Samitis or Mandals in the district together constitute Jila Parishad. MPs of that district or that area constituency, MLAs of that district, member of legislative assemblies, MPs, member of the parliament, Sansad, and other officials of the district, DDPO, and other members, they are the members of the Jila Parishad, Deputy CO, etc. Chairman is the political head of the Jila Parishad. All these members of the Jila Parishad from different wards, these councils, they appoint one chairman. He is the political head of the Jila. Now coming to the local government in urban areas. In urban areas, it is called municipalities. Municipalities means in small cities it is called municipal councils, and in big cities it is called municipal corporation. Both municipalities or municipal council and municipal corporation are controlled by the elected bodies of the people's representative. Means from cities, from each ward member is elected, and these ward members means they elect their head. Municipal chairman is the political head of the municipalities. Municipal corporation head is called mayor. In big cities, head of the municipal corporation is called mayor. Now there are some facts as given in this chapter, that Prime Minister runs the country, Chief Minister runs the state. Means these two are the political executives. As we had already discussed earlier, that there are two types of executives. One is political executives who are elected by the people, like these leaders, and the second one is the permanent executives, those who are elected by some boards, some departments like DC, SDM, etc. So Prime Minister is the political head of the nation, whereas President is the first head of the country, and the real head is the Prime Minister. Second, in states, real power is with the Chief Minister, who is the political head. And the third is, logically, if we see center and state, the chairperson of Jila Parishad means that should run the district, because Jila Parishad chairman is also political head of the district. Jila Parishad chairman is also elected by the people of the district. But in our country, district magistrate or deputy commissioner or collector administer the district. These are some questions for your logical thinking. Now, in recapitulation, if we say in fast, that we had discussed about the federalism, as federalism is considered as the government in which there are two or more than two levels of the government. So you have to understand this definition of the federalism, that vertically when the power is divided between central government, state government and the local government, it is called federalism. India is the best example of the federalism. If you will see the characteristics and features of this federalism, you will find that these all are same like the country India. I hope you understood this chapter. Kindly write down some main points of this chapter and try to understand. Thank you very much in this online class. Thank you.